The idea with these murals in the first place is we wanted to create art that everybody could see themselves in, right? Regardless of your family background or culture or where you're at in life, that there's a little piece of yourself that you can see in this. But we're approaching the 3 different murals we're doing inside this library on theme of past, present, and future. And we started with the present, and this is the story of now that we're painting, which is ever changing and ever moving. And 2020 is a year of weird now, But this mural's been therapeutic that way. It's cathartic to paint. It's also nice to have a little bit of a social life coming in, having people to hang out with and talk to. I think it's why it's been fun as well. But the story is about generations. It's about passing things on. Whether that's knowledge, whether that's culture. Where it's the interconnection of us to our children, or our grandparents to us, our parents to us. We're a continuation of each other. Looking at the characters in this mural, I like to think of the daughter becoming the mother becoming the grandmother passing but living on through her grandchild, becoming the mother, and the cycle continues. Likewise, the little boy, at some point becomes the dad. And Brooklyn actually kind of put this part of the narrative together too. The grandmother in this mural isn't intended necessarily there as a living part of the mural. She's almost there in the background, putting the story together, compiling it. And she was like, well, the tree's the grandfather then, And I like that idea too.
I'm sure Matt told you this art piece is the present. And so for me, it's the idea that it's temporary, but how it's shared, how our temporary time is all shared, and how we're all interconnected, and our connection to the generations before and after us. What we do with our time and how it's laid, Grandma is creating this intricate thing that has taken so much time and care because it means so much. And that speaks, I think, to how we want the future to be, what we want to leave for future generations, how we teach future generations about priorities and creativity. I got to do my first public piece this year over at the Gateway, a small 8x8, and it was just so awesome. But to translate it to something bigger like this, that is a public building that, isn't outside in the elements that can maybe live beyond all of our years. And doing something with a team has been super inspiring. So yeah, I guess for me, this is my future, my life. I'm doing it. We're doing it, all of us together. So I'm just, dream come true. Happy to be here.
What have I learned about myself doing this project? Man, a lot. I guess big projects like this really push you to kind of your edges sometimes of what you think you're capable of, or what you could actually accomplish or plan out. And so in a lot of ways, it's really, I guess boosted my capabilities and confidence that way. But I'll tell you too, if I was doing this solo, I'd be in a madhouse at this point. What I learned about myself too is, although we are all very capable, it takes a team. And this project's a fine example of that for sure. Everybody feels like they've got ownership in it, and they're a part of it, and their hearts are in it. And to me, that's the smoothest form of leadership, man, is just to get everybody buying in on the same things you feel. And I approached this one in kind of a paint by numbers style. I mean, my artwork already lends itself to a lot of that anyway. And thank goodness, because there's just so much square footage to cover with a project like this. I think we measured it at 60 feet, but then if you count for the little bit behind the stairs or whatever, maybe 65 by 25 is probably the height of the ceiling back there. So yeah, it's big. I've worked on another mural that was 300 feet long under the Salt Palace. But it was so much simpler. Like the level of detail and storytelling we're putting into this it's a lot more complex of a mural, really. Didn't know exactly how long it'd take us. I think we're 5 weeks and almost 600 hours of paid labor in, not including mine and Brooklyn's time. So, yeah. But in the end, like, would I trade it? Would I try to cut corners? Any of that? Nah. Like, this is telling the story it needs to tell, and I think we're all feeling pretty proud of it.
My favorite part has got to be the grandma, because actually while we were painting this mural, my grandma passed away.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why I've been working on her, because it just kind of gives me a sense of like completion. Like, yeah, my grandma died and I get to kind of do this in honor of her and kind of honor her and all the generations past.
I think the funny thing that I like a bunch is the guy's shorts. For whatever reason, those really pop, and the shading on it just looks good. I don't know, the shorts are a go.
I like over by the grandmother area. I really like the folds in the blanket.
I don't even know. I think I really love the color stripes on the edge. I mean, I love so much about the characters and the flow. I love the perspective that Matt was able to get with the streets and the houses. But there's something about those big blocks of color on the edge that are really fun and kind of fantastical.
I really like the age dynamic throughout it. You start out like with the baby and like a younger mother, the father and the young child, and then the grandmother. So it's like it tells a story in different people, but kind of like it still follows the storyline of beginning to end. It's like a book.
I like the city up on the hill. That's probably my favorite part.
Well, I'm a new mom, so duh. And the lady at the end reminds me of my own grandmother. So that kind of made me tear up a little bit when I first saw it. I was like, oh, I do miss her.
The mural means just creation, really, like symbolic of creation. I mean, that's what it depicts with the grandma weaving the blanket, and it's the coolest art project I've ever been on. It's the art project in my life for sure. So that's part of the thing it means to me as well.
It's a painting about community, celebration of diversity, and that this inside of a community space and is celebrated here.
It's love between like all of us as painters. Like we've all grown to have a sort of connection with everyone. So I hope that can translate, like all the hard work and dedication and love and attention that we've put into this. I hope that it can translate to the community so that they can feel that too.
I think unity, because it's like, how the community should come together to achieve more things, and how we've all come together to make this huge thing over here. So I think unity mostly.
It means a lot. You're gonna get all of us to cry. I don't know. It's I think as an artist or as a young person wanting to be an artist, it's hard to find people that believe in you. And so to make something, so to make something on this size, it's really inspiring. This is something that I want to be when I grow up, as an artist, and doing public art for the community, for people, is one of my greatest aspirations. Yeah.
You have to aspire to do it.
It's so true.
I think it means the full circle of life and community going on in this city.
That like dreams can come true, I think. Maybe that's a little cheeky, but yeah, like if you set your mind to something, you can most likely achieve it. If you put in the work, and yeah, I'm just very inspired. The art itself, I really like how anyone can see themselves in it. That's probably the biggest takeaway for me, is that it's kind of everyone and you at the same time?
I think it's a good representation of community and like cultivated in this space, because it's already done that for us to a certain degree, being able to come here and work on art.
This mural is sentimental to me. Maybe this one more so than others. This one really like, I don't know, hits home for me. This mural, I leave it open for interpretation to the viewer, but you should be able to see a piece of yourself in each of these characters, in that we have been the children, we become the parents, we become the grandparents, we'll pass on, and it's that continuity of life that, you know, weaves that story together. In my art, as much as possible, I always want to try to leave something that, like, you know, just kind of catches you and sticks in your memory. And for me, it's the grandmother, that she's actually quilting the fabric of reality in which this scene takes place. And yeah, I like that a lot. My grandma passed 7 years ago, but I like to think that she's still, you know, involved and watching out in that sense. And I think that we've all got those ancestors. We've all got those guardian angels or ancestors, whatever you want to like term it as. We are an extension of them. That's how they live forever, is through us, you know? And I think they have a vested interest in watching out for us. It's kind of cool.
Matt and I have known about this project for about 1.5 years before we ever put paint to the wall. So to see the size of it, I think is really breathtaking. Definitely been a learning experience. And I mean, I would now call myself like a projection mapper at this point. I ended up making like architectural renderings of the walls that we were painting with, you know, the handrails and the slope and the windows and everything. And that was pretty fun to do, because I really like math, and that's really been like the biggest learning experience. And what I feel like I've gotten out of it is just the process. And I love processes. I love looking at a piece of art or furniture or anything and saying, how did they do it? How did they make it? Yeah. And trying to deconstruct it in my mind. So it's really been fun to be a part of the process and start from square one.
Being able to share a piece of art with someone is something I've never been able to do. You know, it's usually like I make the art for myself or I make it for someone else, but I never have worked on someone else's painting before for a large audience.
Yeah, it's everybody's. Like, it's obviously Matt's, like it's his mural, but everybody will be able to feel the connection to the mural. It's not just like, oh, cool, that's a pretty painting. It's like, this is epic. Like, you can really look at it and get lost in it. There's so many different aspects of it that you can like find a story. There's multiple stories that you could find within this painting.
It marks the time for me where I realized I can do projects this big, and my dreams can be bigger than maybe what they were. So I think it marks that kind of mental shift. I think most importantly, it marks a period in time like for Kearns. And I think our timeline of society right now is, and where we're at in that timeline is so bizarre. And so to be putting a mural up during this time and marking this time in history has been meaningful to me.
When you come here and have the team, it's easy. It's not work anymore, but you remember the therapy of art. I mean, life is crazy outside of the library, but when you come in here, it's peaceful, it's happy, it's a place where you can kind of shed some of the fears and the outside conflict and anxieties that I think a lot of us have been feeling this year.
You know, and that's so much of what a library is like it gives you the opportunity to like learn about whatever you'd like to learn about in a safe space, you know, and I think I've felt that very much for me personally, just like with everything happening right now in the world, like to be able to have this space is just so beautiful, and just kind of that blanket effect literally of like we're all interconnected. And yeah.
For people in Kearns, like as their community, I think they're really gonna enjoy the aspect of seeing like their neighborhoods, like their houses, people come in and like, hey, that's my house right there. Oh, the school's right here. And it's like, to map out where you live and to see it in big colors, and because people kind of make Kearns a little bit smaller than it actually is, and it has a lot more to offer.
Because if I walked up to it as a kid in the library and saw the little girl holding the dad's hand, you know, I would think about my life, and then I go to each different character on the wall and think of those figures in my life, and then when I'm that one day. So I'd hope that kids can kind of think about that and their impact maybe.
I hope they wonder how it was done. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward process to put lines up there and paint them in, but I feel like on the scale that it is, I just want people to be able to stand back and look at it for a long time and, you know, kind of ask themselves like, okay, was this hand painted? How did they create it? How did they get it so big? Because as a kid, I loved doing that.
Hope it makes them a little bit more curious, like maybe appreciate how much time went into it too, because it's a really detailed piece, so.
I hope it brings them joy. I hope they just look at it and smile and see themselves within that community, you know? See that this is a place that's like investing in the future of our society and our children.
I really hope that people will think about the interconnectedness, you know, the woven idea and how we're all connected in the same way, and really be able to see themselves in it, you know? I hope it's therapeutic for them when they look at it too, because we've talked about everyone that's involved and the magic that we're putting into this and the good vibes that we're putting into this. It's magic to be able to do art and to present something that takes people out of their daily lives, to be able to look at a piece of art and just get lost in it. It's like its own story, its own book, and I really think that's what I hope people can find in it, you know, is just getting lost in the story.